All right, let's talk a little bit about the men's tournament now. Tennessee, of course, having its wonderful season come to an end at the hands of Michigan on Saturday in the second round up in Indianapolis. A terrible day for the Vols, did not shoot it well. It's not that they played all that poorly. They just couldn't make shots. Tennessee shot 42% for the game and just 2 of 18 from 3. And that's how your season ends, especially when you're playing against a team like Michigan that played its best basketball of the season last weekend in the first and second rounds. Hunter Dickinson, Eli Brooks had big games, and Tennessee just couldn't match them for shots, especially down the stretch. A very disappointing end for a phenomenal season that ends with an SEC tournament championship, and everybody thought perhaps one of the deep runs in Tennessee basketball history, but it didn't happen as they fall short again. And for Rick Barnes, there will be a ton of criticism about this because he now has a losing record in the NCAA tournament overall in 26 appearances. 14 of the 26 losses have come to lower-seeded teams, including all 4 of his trips to the Big Dance since being Tennessee's coach. And now 3 of those losses have come to double-digit seeds. So not just lower-seeded teams, but seeds much lower than where Tennessee was and what they were expected to do. So very, very disappointing, and Rick Barnes certainly echoed that after the game, discussing the loss.
Coach, it's never easy doing these, but I want to focus on something positive. So much orange here following you. What do you say to the fans that have supported you and your team that came up here and followed you, and just great team support all season?
I would say what I learned 7 years ago when I came to Knoxville, and early in the season playing a non-league game. We playing an in-state team that Christmas Eve, and they had to move the game because of some bowl, something to go with the SEC football at that time. And we had 16,000 people in the fans. And since that time, I've realized what I didn't know growing up 2.5, 3 hours from Knoxville, the love that Tennessee people have for our great state and for our university, and it's special. And I talk about it all. I don't care what fan base is out there. There's none better than what we have. I don't care what, and I think this university deserves a chance to continue to have success and let people see exactly what makes it special. And it's been a blessing for me, to be quite honest with you. 7 years ago, I wasn't sure about a lot of things, but looking back, I think God had a great plan for me, and I'm telling you, I've loved every minute of it.
Front row, we have one here.
Rick, it seemed like for a large portion of this game that Michigan really kind of controlled the tempo and the style of play. Was that the case? And it seemed like it had been a long time since that had happened. Why do you think your guys didn't really handle that?
Mike, I don't know if they controlled the tempo. They got tired, and we knew it, and we kept trying to push the tempo like someone asked about a zone. We were glad when they went zone because we knew they weren't going to stay in it, so that was not a factor. We knew if we dribbled a couple times, they would switch man-to-man. What we weren't able to do was take advantage of it early inside when we were able to, because sometimes they end up with some mismatches there. And really the difference in the game was the second chance points. I mean, those 2 offensive rebounds we gave up were huge at the time. And during that stretch, we had, and again, we knew they would, everybody we played all year has been concerned about the 3-point line. But we missed 3, 4 looks that we would like to, I don't think we could have got it better, but some days they go, some days they don't. But if you'd have told me looking at the stat sheet that, that we were going to turn them over 15 times, 16 times, we only had 7 points in the paint. We outscored them. I would have never thought that. And but the second fast break points 19-5, bench points 18-11, but second chance points 13-7. And those 2 big offensive rebounds came after we really got them to take 2 pretty difficult shots. And but that's it. We didn't. Kennedy did a great job. They really didn't have an answer for him with his speed going downhill, and we knew that we could get him in some ball screens at time. But again, we needed to have, I think, more inside today. I'd like to see us do a little bit more inside and be able to put a little more pressure on Hunter Dickinson. We knew we were going to do that with ball screen defense. With ball screen offense, we knew we were going to make him guard. But give them credit. They made the plays there at the end, but those 2 offensive rebounds were huge plays in the game.
Go right here in the red.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Coach, I know you outscored him in the paint, but you got so much of that from your guards, and I know you're not reflecting yet, but when you look at this team, have you been concerned about the lack of just a reliable post-scoring like all season?
Yes, I mean, because I think in college you've got to have somebody, and regardless of size, you've got to have somebody that can go in when you have days like this, when you can't seem to find the bottom of the bucket. You've got to be able to throw it in there and get fouled, put pressure on people. And but I'm also proud of the way, I mean, today, again, at time, we had a lot of freshmen out there, and we, new experience for, I think we only had 3 guys who have been in an NCAA game, but Jonas, Brandon, those guys have grown up, Uros has gotten better. Folky's been with us a long time, but I think at the collegiate level, you've got to have some presence around the rim, and we haven't been able to do that consistently. And as you said, it came mostly from our guards penetrating and playing in that area.
Go here in the white.